So hello there and welcome back to the channel. This is Mel's Gaming here with another The Hunter Call of the Wild video. Now this video is going to be a little bit of a guide on how to get really close to animals in The Hunter Call of the Wild. Now I decided to make this video as I've received a lot of comments lately asking how I get so close to animals in order to be able to take pictures and close-up footage for some of my videos. So I thought I would make this video and go through my skills, perks and just how I get close to animals in this game. So starting off, we need to talk about backpacks. You do not want to be wearing any of the backpacks in this game if you are trying to get anywhere near animals. They cause you to be so much more noisy and so much more visible that you're going to be spooking things from quite a distance away. It's one of the most common things that when people say that they're spooking animals from a huge distance, I'll ask if they have a backpack on, and it's a really common response that yes, they were wearing a backpack. So you really do not want to be wearing any of these. These are useful for, if you're setting up a grind and putting tents and stuff down, but if you're actually trying to hunt, avoid wearing any of these backpacks at all costs. Now we're going to be talking about this. So this is on the HUD in the bottom right corner of your screen, and you can see there's three little boxes here, and we're taking a look at the middle one that has the arrow pointing up. Now in the beginning there I was running and you will have seen it was a full circle. Now I am walking and it's going between a full circle and sort of an oval shape. Now this is your visibility meter. That full circle means you are as visible as possible. Everything is going to have a really easy time seeing you. The oval, you're slightly less visible. This is like if you're standing still like I am currently. Things are still going to be able to see you if you're stood still in the wide open, but not quite as easily as if you were running about. Then I am crouching and you can see it's a half circle with a thin white line. So you're sort of half visible. You're not quite as visible as if you were stood up, and you're not as visible as if you were running. And then finally, lying down in the open with no cover, you can see you have a thin white line. This means that you're going to be pretty, hard to see, but you are still going to be a little bit visible if you are lying in the open with no cover. Now, taking a look under the skills tree, and we are in the stalker section. Now there is a skill in here for stalker called Improvised Blind, which further decreases your visibility when you are in bushes and shrubs. Now this is an incredibly important thing to have if you're going to be trying to get close to animals for bow hunting, trying to get pictures, up close footage, anything like that, because it means if you can get into some cover, you can become pretty much invisible to animals. You can get them coming in super close, and I mean you're pretty invisible, like I said, when you've just got that thin white line. It can go even further than that and make you even more hidden when you are actually in brush if you have this skill. So here I am going into a piece of brush, and I'm actually stood up at this point in this brush, and you can see that we have that same thin white line that we had when we were led down still in the open. Now if I crouch down, we get an even smaller transparent line, which means that you are basically as hidden as you possibly can be. This is fully hidden. So this skill, like I said, is really useful because you can make yourself even more hidden than being led down still. So if you're trying to approach animals or get them to approach you and get really close, this is going to be extremely useful because you're going to be so hard for them to see that they're going to get a lot closer. So being crouched or led down in brush when you have this skill is really fantastic. Then moving on to the next skill, and we are in the ambusher tree, and we are taking a look at tier 1 spotting knowledge. Now the level 1 is actually really useful if you're trying to get close to animals, as it reveals additional information about how aware the animal is of nearby threats. So that's when you can see, if you're watching videos, and you can see in the top right corner with the spotting info, you can see if an animal is alert, attentive, fleeing, whatever state it actually is in. So this is incredibly useful because if you're trying to approach an animal and you're not sure how aware it is of you being nearby, then you can just take a look in your spotting info and you'll be able to see. You'll actually be able to learn how aware an animal is of you off their body language as you get more used to it, and when an animal is attentive and alert just based off of their body language, but this is a really useful skill to have. Now, paying attention to the compass and the wind direction is also incredibly important. If you are trying to get close to an animal, this is what you want the wind direction to look like. You want the wind to be blowing in your face and actually blowing away from the animal. You do not want it looking like this. This means the wind is blowing directly towards the animal that you're going for, and that animal is going to be able to smell you a whole lot easier. So always try and approach an animal with the wind blowing into your face and away from that animal. Something really simple, but something very, very important to pay attention to. Now, I couldn't make this video without talking about callers. It's something that I utilise actually quite a lot when I'm trying to get close to specific species and, specific animals in order to be able to take pictures. Calling animals can be really, really useful, especially if you get yourself set up in some brush, like we were talking about before. With that improvised blind skill, make yourself as hidden as possible, and then you can sit there and call and bring that animal pretty close to you. And we're actually going to see an example of me doing that with this Great One Moose. Now, this was my first ever Great One Moose, and you can see, to get close to him, we're crawling along the ice. Now, when I actually move, my visibility does go up a little bit, and you'll see that on the meter. It goes to the half circle, or just between the half circle and the line. It sort of bounces between the two, but you'll see that even then he does notice me, and you can see the wind is in a good direction. It's blowing away from him, and we're also not making very much noise. That is something else you need to pay attention to, is the noise meter. You can make yourself make barely any noise and actually practically be silent if you crawl really, really slowly. Pay attention to that noise meter as well as your visibility meter, and make sure that you're not making too much noise. When you're running, you're going to see it going up into the red, and then, sort of down into the 3 white bars if you're walking, stuff like that. And if you're crawling, like I said, really, really slowly, you can be practically silent. So that's definitely something to pay attention to. But talking about using callers, I've got myself set up here, and I knew because I was moving, he was still actually able to notice me. So I decided to give him a call and actually try and bring him towards me, which actually worked perfectly. Now, taking a look at another Great One Moose here, and you can see I've actually made this guy go alert. And he's going to turn around and do the walking around that animals do when they are alert. And like I said, you'll be able to learn the differences between an animal that is calm, attentive, alert, just by their body language eventually. But having that spotting knowledge up there in that corner is really, really useful. But something that I have to mention in this video, and something that I've noticed a lot with getting close to animals, is if an animal is stood facing away from you like this, they are going to be a whole lot less sensitive about noticing you. You can see I'm actually getting up and running towards this guy here to close the gap a little bit, and he's only attentive now. Which you can see compared to this smaller level 4 that's next to him, he was alert because he could see me. But if an animal is actually facing away from you, they're not going to be able to see you if you're approaching them as easily as an animal that is facing you. So if you're trying to get really super close to animals, sometimes approaching them from behind, if you can, is a really good way to go. And then you can go, slightly off to one side to get a broadside shot, or get pictures, or whatever you want, or even get the animal to turn around with a caller once you're a lot closer. So approaching animals from behind is a really good way to get close to them. And you'll actually see that what I'm doing here is just now crawling towards this guy, and when I get close enough, I'll actually stand up and run at him to get him to go alert and turn to face me in order to give me a shot with the bow. But yeah, that's pretty much it in terms of tips. Make sure that your wind is going in the right direction, away from the animal ideally. Make sure to pay attention to your noise and visibility meters. Ideally get that improvised blind skill and that spotting knowledge skill. Those are going to be really, really helpful as mentioned. And do not, under any circumstances, wear a backpack if you're trying to get close to animals. With these tips, you should find getting close to animals a lot easier. Let me know down in the comments if you have any further questions, and I will be more than happy to answer them. But that is going to be it for this video. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you.